just need someone in my life to give it structure, to handle all the selfish ways I'd spend my time without her. You're everything I want, but I can't deal with all your lovers. You're saying I'm the one, but it's your actions that speak louder. Giving me love and you are down and need another. I've gotta get away and let you go. I've gotta get over. But I love you so. I love you so. I love you so. I love you so. I'm gonna pack my things and leave you behind. This feeling's old and I know that I've made up my mind. I hope you feel what I felt when you shattered my soul. 'Cause you were cruel and I'm a fool, so please let me go. But I love you so. Please let me go. I love you so. Please let me go. I love you so. Let me go. I love you so.
Hello, everyone. My name is Notepad Anon, and I write games for fun. But we're not writing a game today. I'm gonna talk for a bit. I don't know what I'm gonna really talk about, but I also kind of know what I'm gonna talk about because this stream actually was spawned for a few things. This is Vampire Survivors, by the way. This is a pretty new, relatively new indie game. We got for like $3. Having fun with it. It's a pretty much like I would say it's a reverse bullet hell game. I actually quite enjoy it. It's fun. You're not going to see stellar gameplay if you've already seen gameplay of like people being like, "Well, I've already super done everything and have 8 billion point." No, you're gonna see normal baby bitch mode because I'm not very good at this game and I've got like an hour or two in it. Yeah, I know. I've been having fun. I've been having fun with Vampire Survivors. But this stream was actually sponsored, kind of inspired in a way by one particular thing. I'm gonna open it up here. Um, on Twitter, these guys got collectively shat on. That kind of spawned an idea, and I originally heard this from Gilla RPG, the man who wrote Lumen. Actually, yes, here's everybody. By the way, hello. Yes, Gilla RPG posted about it, saying that they were bad and terrible and awful and the worst human beings alive. Because they did. I wonder if do they even have it anymore. Don't think they even have it anymore. That's actually a big fucking oof. But oh wait, is that? Or better game stuff audience. Yeah, no, it's great. Well, what effectively happened is that these guys actually said like we want to do our own. We want to open it up for freelancers, and they posted their rates, and they were posting 1 cent a word. 1 cent a word, which mind you is below standard rate. Hello, Draco. Which mind you, this is very much below standard rate. I think standard rate now is about 6-7 cents. I'm actually going to be talking today, Draco. It's mostly just going to be me musing about a thing that kind of popped in my head. Kind of setting the scene with Gemhammer here. But Gemhammer kind of threw me for a loop because what happened was these guys got shat on for effectively saying we're going to pay freelancers 1 cent a word, and we want freelancer stuff. These guys, I've kind of looked at like, okay, what do you guys do actually? They do these deck things, or like, oh boy, they do a bunch of 5e shit. That's what they do. They do 5e shit and like like they do all magical mysteries and new items for it's 5e. That's all it is. It's just 5e. What are you expecting? Are you expecting anything more than this? But they offered again sent a word for freelancers, and they got shat on, and their response was very fascinating. They effectively responded, and they didn't respond very well, mind you, because everybody dogpiled on these fucking guys. It was a goddamn slaughter. They they got fucking hopped on and immediately shat on by literally everybody. And like originally I thought like, Jesus, did this fucking guy like murder somebody? Did he like call someone the N-word? Did he like fuck somebody's wife? Like, what did this guy do? No, 1 cent a word for freelance. And it was bad because everyone's like, TTRPG sounded dirty, my ass. TTRPG. I know, I was like, who the fuck cares? Yeah, they don't have a very good thing, but it's not like, why don't shit on the guys? Don't like completely like try to destroy this guy's business effectively. And it got me thinking a little bit. Got me thinking a lot. Because their response was interesting. I wonder if I can find yeah, we gotta go to fucking Twitter. Here's I don't follow Gilla because I actually, enjoy, I actually enjoy being a human being. Wonder if he even posted it. Or is he just sucking his own cock as usual? It is. Where are you, Gilla? Where did you post it? Because Gilla hopped on this pretty hard, mind you. Gilla was like hopped on this fucking immediately, and he deleted everything. I think he deleted everything, or he keeps just retweeting everything because he's a subhuman troglodyte and doesn't deserve. Yeah, I think he deleted everything. That's funny. It's really funny. But effectively, he popped on and somebody posted, yeah, this is it right here. He popped on and it was like, well, it's not really nice that they're not doing this and all these things. And someone posted a note of them effectively saying, well, we can't really offer anymore because we're a fucking indie studio. So, yeah. And it got me thinking, which is kind of what we're going to be going over today. It got me really thinking about kind of the indie studio, the indie studio crab bucket, the indie nightmare. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not super great at this game. We're gonna be playing probably Gennaro because I'm a fucking troglodyte at the library. But let's see if all the audio is fine. I'm gonna get bombed immediately because I'm not pausing. But I got thinking about it. And what effectively happened was that these guys said, we don't have enough money because we're an indie studio. And everyone's like, well, you shouldn't be even offering freelancers if you don't have the money for it. And it got my, I'm going to say this, it got my noggin jogging. It kind of got my noggin jogging a little bit. And that noggin jogging effectively got me thinking, like, what is, this fucking indie crab bucket nightmare that we live in? What is the indie crab bucket about? And then, I just want to think about it for a bit, just because I find it fascinating more than anything. Also, if I'm I'm going to do my best to respond to everything because I hate to break it to everybody. Like, I only have a single screen, so bear with me if I don't like respond to something right away. Effectively, my thinking was like, what fucking happened to this indie market of ours? Because you think about it, and I was thinking about it pretty hard. I'm like, what is, what's the indie market actually like? What's the, oh yeah, that level 2, awesome. Like, and the more I thought about it, the more I was kind of going back and forth on it. It kind of dawned on me, like, pretty quickly. Like, got 3.5 USD in donations, one of which got a debit card, so the drive-thru makes 50% cut, more for donations. But yeah, here's the thing. This is the thing with indie games. In our nightmarish market we call the tabletop game market. I think we're fucked. Like, like, honestly, I think we're fucked, personally, by just virtue of, like, our market here, because because it got me thinking, like, we're in a crab bucket. Now, for those who don't know, what the term crab bucket actually means, a crab bucket is a phenomenon. It's a kind of a disproven, like, natural phenomenon. But the idea is that in an area, in a industry or something, or in a group of people, naturally speaking, everybody in that group doesn't want anyone to leave it. When the crab tries to leave the bucket, all the other crabs grab him and drag him back down. That's kind of the basic concept. That's kind of the basic idea. It's, you keep wanting to drag everyone back down. And that's why I call it the indie crab bucket more than anything. Because ultimately, nobody ever wants anyone else to do better. That's the hilarious thing. I would say there are, like, I'd say there's 5 tiers to the indie game market, not actual human being markets. There are companies who have ascended. Wizards of the Coast does not give a singular fuck about any of this, because Wizards of the Coast makes too much money. They don't care. D&D is far above us on the indie game scale. Let me think at the top of my head. Things like Firstly, yeah. The guys who do, like, Morkborg and all the Mutant Year Zero games, they don't really care anymore. They're kind of above it all. But that's kind of the funny thing with a lot of these, like, the indie market. There's 5 tiers, because you got, like, the very bottom tier, probably the most numerous, are pure hobbyists. Pure hobbyists are exactly what you fucking think they are. They're just people who enjoy making shit, and they're just gonna keep making stuff regardless. They don't care. There's no monetary incentive at all for anything they do. It's purely hobby based. It's purely me, like, doing thing. I'm gonna do the thing, and I would like to believe that's how I started. But it's, then you have the second tier of people. I think the second tier of people are kind of the ones that you hear the most about, because they're the problem children more than anything. The ascended hobbyists, like, you're trying to sell it, i.e. me, where it's like, yeah, I'm trying to sell my stuff, and I want to present, like, content that is interesting to you all. From there, you have things like the single A. I'm going to use kind of like the in video games, because people usually like, oh, it's double A, it's triple A. I'm going to use just 3 scales of A. Single A indie devs. Single A indie devs are the guys who they have money, and they're, like, kind of pretty much everything they make, they put into their next game. It's, well, here's this, we're going to make this to make this. And these are like a group. There's like 4 or 5 people, and it's the money to continue the money. Alternatively, you have Kickstarter fuckers, otherwise known as the guys who continuously always go to Kickstarter, they get their money, and they immediately pump something out. The AA guys, if they've got a little bit of investment behind the scenes, and they keep pumping out stuff continuously. AAA stuff is who got a lot of investment, and they're always pumping out new things. Now, in any other fucking industry, that works. That's fine. But there's one issue about our industry, about, the tabletop industry, is that we're too busy sucking cock. Gonna be honest, we are really busy sucking cock. And I'm not saying that because like we're bad or anything. It's just because we don't want to innovate. We don't change anything. And I'm not being like, well, as a perfect innovator and who's great. No, I find my own habits. I'm notorious for having habits. But I would say it's the idea that like people don't want to leave a certain niche, and it's also incredibly easy to stay in a niche. Because think about it, this is the indie market. It's indies. Like, you expect the indies to be like, let's go against the grain a little bit. Let's try something new. And you're kind of expecting to see new and innovative things. But you really don't. Like, being honest, like, you really don't see that many, like, super innovative or new things coming out of this sphere at all. Because that doesn't sell at all. Everyone wants the same things, or you end up with games that are like, well, I was inspired to make this Lumen game, and it's just like, okay, what did you add anything new to Lumen? No, it's just Lumen. It's like, oh, like, what's going on here? Or like, it's like, oh, we don't have any money, so we're just gonna keep making the same shit. And we also have this completely bizarre moment in, I think, pretty much, it's not like cinema or vidya. And I'm gonna make a vidya comparison here for real fast, because it's, for example, Vampire Survivors. We have it right over here, so we're gonna use that. Vampire Survivors is not a unique game. There's nothing really unique about Vampire Survivors, but it kind of just puts everything together in an interesting, fun way. It's kind of having that natural, I have that thing in my brain that says, me have fun, me enjoy. So, you have that. However, how do I want to word this? It's kind of hard to... Okay, here's how we're going to do it. There is a barrier to entry when it comes to cinema and video games and even like indie like writing and novels and shit like that. There comes a degree of like you have to put a little bit of effort in to get somewhere. So the people who are doing it are kind of able to, they have a vision, they know what they want to do, and they're putting the 100% forward. But everybody also knows that if you do everything that everyone else is doing, you're going to get nowhere. There's a lot of time that goes in, so you want to do something interesting. Tabletop games, though, are not like that at all, weirdly, because it's almost, if you try something new, you get punished for it. And this isn't even like, no one buy me gamey shit. No, I'm trying not to get that across. It's just that if you want to make it in this fucking industry, you have to do 5e shit. You're making the same games everybody else is doing because that's the smart option. That is the correct move to make. And because it is the correct move to make, we're entering in a really weird spot of it. And that kind of that Gem Hammer and Sons thing kind of punched me in the face a little bit, because like these guys literally are saying, oh, well, we just want to play some freelancers to do like, and it's fucking nothing. Because there is no money in this industry. There is no money. Vampire Survivors guy has probably made a shit ton of money off this game, because a lot of people are probably buying it. There is a pretty big reward for what you can get out of it. And that's something that you can slap on something, being like, I'm the guy who made Vampire Survivors, or I'm the guy who, like, I have Unity knowledge, I have this, I have that. I'm seeing this in, like, the tabletop sphere, because I look at a lot of games. I troll around and see everything I can find. That's just something I do, that's my hobby. And holy shit, It's bizarre because you keep saying the same stuff pop over and over again, and it's like, well, think how many Morkborg adventures there are. There's an entire Kickstarter section dedicated to Morkborg adventures at this point, or 5e adventures. What other fucking industry does that? What other fucking industry does that? Like, God, holy shit, that's like, so, like, that'd be like if, like, you were forced, like, everyone was like, yes, and we must now, oh, sorry, every game must be a Half-Life 2 mod? That's weird to me. And I'm like, no one's gonna try anything different. I'm being like, well, of course not. So, kind of this Gem Hammer and Sons thing kind of said, I'm like, yeah, they don't have any money probably to do this, because there isn't any fucking money in this. And we would like to think they do, but they really don't. Like, it's just, it's a strange phenomenon for me anyway, where you have a lot of these people who are at least claiming, be like, oh, this is the TTRPG, family. There is no unified factor in this fucking hobby. There's not a single thing unifying anybody in this fucking hobby. Especially the indie market. Why? Like, there's nothing binding anybody together unless you're doing the same shit as everybody else. Yeah, everybody hates everybody because, again, everybody's doing what you're doing, but you can't do anything else other than what everybody is doing. It's a bizarre and horrifying thing to even consider, because the Lumen people hang out with the Lumen people and write Lumen games for Lumen reasons. They're not part of, like, the greater tabletop role-playing market, and it's the same shit in, like, the OSR guys. Because you have these little subset of OSR guys who just endlessly write the same shit over and over and over and over again. And once you've read through, like, 2-3 OSR games, you've read through a lot of OSR games. Most suck. Gonna be honest with y'all. Most of OSR games fucking are terrible. Because it's the same shit. I'm like, well, my OSR is different because I don't have hit die. I have damage die. Like, congratulations, does it do what hit die does? It's like, yeah, of course it's going to do what hit die does. Because that's the only thing you guys know, I guess. Ha ha ha, funny, ha ha ha. And it's, it's kind of hard to even, like, summarize, like, what other market out there does this? What other market really, truly? There's a limit to TTRPG, at least mechanically speaking. No, I don't think so. Because we went over a lot of Japanese games. Like yesterday. We actually went over quite a few Japanese games yesterday. And a lot of those games did play with some very unique aspects. Very unique things. Like, of course, some were very similar to each other. But the one advantage that you can have in some aspects is that you are allowed to do different things. And I don't know if it's because nobody wants to buy anything different. If it's genuinely like the smartest move is to not play. Like, well, nobody here actually wants to buy a brand new kind of game. Nobody does. Everyone claims that they want the next, cool, innovative game, but in perfect reality, they do not. They want the most standard shit ever. And that kind of brings me to, like, another very fascinating thing. Like, don't call yourself an indie developer. Don't call yourself an indie dev if the only thing you've ever worked on is 5e content. Don't. I do not know why people do. Being like, as a proud indie developer, I'm like, bitch, you have worked on the most popular fucking game ever. Movies are also becoming safer, Bus. To a degree. Like, some movies do that. I would say, horror movies sometimes are allowed to do a little bit different things. And the thing is, we don't actually see many horror movies. And not horror movies, like, we don't actually see many movies because a lot of them get put on streaming services and many, like, putting things like, I'm not going to call myself an indie developer within this industry. This, like, what company is big here? What what would be the biggest companies? Chaosium. I think Chaosium would be. Which even Chaosium is currently undergoing some shit right now because they're hopping on the NFT market. Like, let's actually, let's actually, we'll Google that. Like, yeah, because like everyone's shitting on them because everyone's like, they're bad. Yeah, because it's just like, this is how you're gonna make fucking money. Because this is where you clearly, like, there's no fucking money. Like, alright, because like, and like NFTs, and it's weird because it was like, oh, well, we in the industry don't want you here. I mean, like, who the fuck cares? The people are obviously buying. People are buying. People want to buy, they want to sell. Like, if people are going to buy it, people are going to sell it. But, like, nobody ever wants somebody to, like, progress past that. Nobody, like, the Gemhammer and Sons thing should not have blown up. It shouldn't have been like, this company is evil and bad and let's burn down their house. That should not have fucking happened. Because you want to know what would happen in any other industry if someone was like, freelancer gig, shit pay. They would have been not collectively shat on by everybody. No, they would be like, don't go to this fucking company. They're not paying very good wages, and they would have just, it would pretty much, the market would sort itself out. But we're so small. We're so insignificant monetarily, where it's like, well, you're not paying freelancers the correct amount of money, even though you clearly state because you don't have the money. Fuck, you know how many, if actually, like, TRPG freelancer jobs there are? None. There are no freelancer jobs. And you want to know the people who usually get freelancer jobs? They're on their fucking knees and they're going to town on that cock. Because they need to. Because that's what it's all about. It's about knowing people. Hell, like, Thirsty Sword lesbians. Half those fucking people have written nothing. Not a single fucking thing. And if what they have written me like, well, here's my indie RPG about feelings. And it's like 5 fucking pages. Are you a qualified developer of anything? No, you're fucking, of course you're not, but you know people, and that's all that matters. That's fucking insane. That's bonkers. That's completely insane. Yeah, it's like, yeah, like, oh, well, we need the Netflix of RPGs. We have 2 of them. We have Drive-Thru, and an Itch is trying to do it. And, like, the thing is, like, Drive-Thru RPG is ancient at this point. Like, that fucking thing barely works because it's so goddamn old, and it's kind of has these old philosophies because the site's been around since forever. And it's just not adapted because our industry hasn't adapted at all. Like, if you really think about it, like, nothing has really changed. Like, in movies, things change. Hell, there are, like, blockbuster hits that have come out that can prove, like, yeah, you can write a full movie with, like, a budget of $12,000 and win a shit ton of awards or make $1 gazillion. Like, people have proven that time and time again. Hell, you have, like, Benny, I think that was one. It was a British horror movie. Benny was pretty much filmed by, like, one guy and his family. And he did everything himself, and it made decent, like, it did pretty damn well. Stonewall RPG review, when it's, even the Stonewall thing, that was kind of funny. They actually, like, the fact that they blocked me immediately, that's its own thing. But but is that like, but kind of talking about the Stonewall thing, is like that what we're reduced to at this point? Is that like what we're supposed to do in, like, the indie TTRPG fucking market, is to write these insane things that do nothing interesting? That, like, I've actually looked at it, like, it's like, use the power of relationships. I'm like, wow, haven't seen this one fucking before. Wowzers, I'm astounded by this innovative design. No, like, no, who fucking cares? Like, because if you really look at, like, look at Itch, for example. How much shit on Itch? If you were to really filter it down, how many original games there are on Itch? There aren't many. There are just pure flat, just not many original fucking games on Itch. Because why would you want to be original? There's no incentive to be original. And the thing is, we have this weird fucking Ponzi scheme going on. Like, this is a really bizarre, like, fucking Ponzi scheme that I have, like, no idea why no one is commenting on. Like, everyone, like, because here's the thing you're supposed to do now, is you develop an SRD. You know, you have fucking things like Lumen, PBTA, PBL, PBTL, PBL, etc. You get one of these. And then you pretty much outsource it to the community. Now, mind you, here's the odd thing about these two things, though. About, when you have this SRD. The SRD is not done. This is a game that is not a game. This is a game that just does not function. If you actually just take Lumen by itself, the game is a nothing game. There's nothing there. There's not a game. You look at it and like touch yourself a bit, I guess. But there's not actually anything there. The entire idea is that you get the community to do it for you for free. You get people to finish shit for you for free. What other industry does that? Outside of like video game modding scenes. But it's like, okay, I'm a professional fucking like Gmod server host. Because it's this weirdly parasitic relationship. Yeah, Todd Howard. You go with the Todd Howard experience, like, but here's the odd thing. Like, you need something. Like, for example, Skyrim. If you buy Skyrim, you're gonna get Skyrim. You can play Skyrim with no mods, no nothing, and the game's gonna work. And it's gonna be fun because Skyrim is a tweaked game to a very specific point. This isn't like they just hand you like the fucking build engine. They don't hand you the what's the fucking engine for Skyrim called? What's the Skyrim engine? Skyrim is the build engine, right? Creation engine. Yeah, like, you don't like literally just buy the creation engine and then, Todd Howard looks at you being like, why don't you make more stuff for me? Why don't you just make more stuff for me? Like, that's just not a thing. That's not a thing that occurs. In the indie market, it does occur. It occurs quite a bit, actually, because it's really easy to do. And I think that's like one of the biggest problems that here in our little space that we face, like just in just something we have to deal with, is that it is incredibly easy to enter this market, and it's also incredibly easy to churn out shit. You can turn out horse shit actively. And what do you can't really like write a review very well on these games because it's going to cost you $15 and you can't refund a PDF that easily. Hell, if I didn't like Vampire Survivors, within 2 hours I could refund the entire thing. I wouldn't be able to play it anymore because it's a fucking video game on my computer that I no longer have. Pretty simple. That's a pretty simple concept. I can't do that with like a $15 RPG where I suddenly discover that it's like, oh wow, half the game isn't done, i.e., fucking Nova. I'm talking about Gil a lot because I feel he's kind of like an indicative issue of the entire fucking thing. Like, he's a fascinating thing because like how hard he harped on it. He was like, oh, this is unacceptable. But it's just like, you motherfucker, you're doing the exact same thing. like I would say it to a degree when it comes to like Unity and Godot. But there's one thing with those games, with even Vidya in general, that kind of separates it from TRPGs in a good way. I cannot just open up Unity and write something and then suddenly it works. I can't be like, done. I can't do that. There's actually a lot of time investment. There's a lot of monetary investment if you want to do something like that. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Not nearly as much as like a real game or something bigger than that. But it does take time, effort, and talent. You don't have to be very good at things. Like, you don't have to be a good video game developer, but you gotta at least know what the fuck you're doing. Me, I have no idea. I don't code. I don't know any of that. That's not my thing. And money. Like, of course, money is always the thing. However, with tabletop games, anyone who can write can write one. It is not hard. And these SRDs are like, just use this. The fucking number of games I've read that I'm like, I just don't want to even look at because it's the shit that I've already seen before, or it's, you might, occasionally hear me being like, it doesn't do anything unique. It doesn't do anything interesting. And I know that was with the Counter Earth review, the Chronicles of Gore, Tales of Gore, I mean. That was like one of my big, kind of things I harped on with that one, outside of being gore, was the fact that it legitimately does nothing interesting. There's not a single thing Tales of Gore does that justifies a purchasing price outside of being gore. And it's weird because as the, the indie market, because it's so easy to get into, we should honestly have a lot of things. And hell, the thing is like this, I'll harp on fucking people like Vincent Baker, for example. I don't like Vincent Baker, but I don't like him not because of like he's a lazy developer. No, I don't like him because his game design philosophy does not match my own. That is why I do not like Vincent Baker's games usually. It's because his design philosophy is very different from my own. He at least comes up with something different. He at least comes up with something new every now and again. But even now, it's like, well, why fucking bother? He's just going to make, apocalypse world things because that's what makes the money. That's what kind of separates the people from the from the regular ones. And it's odd. Like, it's really bizarre to me that everyone's okay with it. Like, this, everyone's okay being like, yes, this is fine. Yeah. Of course I'm a proud indie game developer and I have like zero, like I've never written anything except fucking like 5e content before. It's like, you sure about that? Like, you're right? Oh, you've just written 5e stuff. That's great. That's wonderful. That's great. Or, oh, you've only written Pathfinder shit. And it's like, is that the end of this hobby? Is that like that kind of the end goal? You just appeal to this low common denominator because that's what's going to sell. Fuck anything new. Is the indie market quite literally is it literally just making the same shit over and over again and diluting the market with just nothing? Like, half the games I was going over the other day on Kickstarter for like these zine games, half these fucking games are not games hardly. Or they're brand new and unique games, and it's like, this is an OSR retro clone. Wow. Never seen this one before. What's next? Are you gonna surprise me by having an advantage mechanic? Ooh, wow. Never seen that one before. And it's like, is that it? Like, are we just that creatively fucking bankrupt that we just don't want to try something new? Are we just scared of trying anything even remotely new? Is that it? Or is it there's something bigger going on? Is there something like kind of is there a bigger issue in this sphere? Or is it quite literally we as a people just don't want to try anything new because it's just like new thing, me bad? And if that's the case, like, neither case is good, mind you. Neither case is like actually decent. I just took that right to the fucking noggin. Like, because the thing is this: if we have the assumption that at the end of the day, at the end of the circle, we could say, that we are going to end up with pretty much a market that just doesn't want to buy anything new, then what are we fucking doing? Like, then shouldn't the indie market, fulfill a gap in the market? But here's the thing, if people clearly do want new things, people clearly do, because they wouldn't have, if they just wanted 5e stuff, they would just buy more 5e stuff. I'm going to die here. Can I get away with this? I hate these little flying fuckers. It's actually my best friend in a while. But, alternatively, it's people just don't want to buy anything new, and we're like going to be perpetually stuck in nobody wants to buy the new thing, so we're just not going to buy the new thing. So there's no good answer. There's no like, here's like the clear, like, everything's gonna work out fine. Like Tom from Mastiff Games, the guy who the writer of the main writer of Lancer, who claims to be a good game designer but keeps just making Lancer stuff and can't write a good game to save his fucking life. Like him, for example, he was like, oh well, indie game developers don't have design rigor. And he got shat on for this in the indie community because he's like, what do you mean we have design rigor? And it's like, I think he was a little bit of him, patting his own back and thinking that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. However, I think he had a point, but I think he was making the wrong point. I think it was not being able to see that the forest through the trees a little bit. And I think it would be more in lines like, are people perpetually afraid of buying new things? Or are the people who are wanting to try new things not getting anything out of it? And I think he's notorious for it, because again, he's not written anything relatively unique at all. He does not have his own, self-professed design rigor, you could say, simply because he hasn't written anything. Oh wow, he wrote Lancer, which is a D-fucking-20 game at its core, with some like very tacked on like weird PBTA thing mechanic. I can't even explain it. And even his like latest game, Icon, is pretty much just like, how do I, a baby's first Final Fantasy clone. And it's like, what the fuck, like, Nani? Like, I'm also getting fucking swarmed. I need floor chicken. Like yesterday. Come on, floor chicken. Not floor chicken. Ugh. And because if you make the assumption that, people are going to be designing, things that are going to appeal, like, why aren't we seeing more? Because then it's just like, well, yeah, of course we're not going to see more, because there's no money. There's no money in this industry. No one's going to make money. And because there's no money, no one's going to make anything interesting. Oh, sweet mother of God. Okay. I'm gonna fucking die unless I can fight my way through here like this. I can do this. It's a boss. Oh. You don't like Icon too much. Yeah, I don't like Icon. Here's the thing. I do not like Icon, because Icon does literally nothing. It is Fantasy Lancer. He can claim all he fucking wants, that it's like, oh, it's not Fantasy Lancer. Like, it's using the exact same mechanics, like, almost verbatim. And it's like, oh, wow. Design rigor. Like, oh, yes, here's the strong, I got a triple, nice. Like, oh, here's the strong design rigor. Being like, you didn't really design anything new with this. That's not going to save me, but I could pray it's going to. Is better Lancer than Lancer? No. Because here's the thing. Here, if you want the divine, comedy joke, the thing with that made Lancer work was because they actually had a very good designer with him. He actually had a very competent person who got picked up by Wizards of the Coast, because he graduated. He became a real human being in the eyes of the world, and he's going to be actually writing fucking 5.5 edition, which I'll give him in a minute. And the thing is, he has no incentive to write anything interesting or new, or any kind of game that could like really, excite the mind at all, because his audience is going to buy anything. He could fucking put shit in a box and people would buy it simply because it's him. And it's like, can we really use you as like a decent metric? Like, my game sold a jillion copies. You could do it too. Like, no, I don't. I think having a wildly successful webcomic does make you a little bit different from the rest of us, Tom. But Tom is also a charlatan and he would sell you his own fucking mother. I'm still mad about Kill 6 Billion Demons. I will always be mad about Kill 6 Billion Demons. But like, here's the thing with 5.5. I have two things are gonna happen when 5.5 comes out. And this is like this is the darkest timeline if it does occur. The two things are very simple. Oh, also, it's not over yet. That's the thing. Kill 6 Billion Demons is not over yet because he can't write a plot. I have an entire video of me shitting on, Kill 6 Billion Demons. But here's the beautiful thing about 5.5. When 5.5 comes out, two things are going to occur. In my thinking anyway. Option 1, what we call the good ending, which is 5.5 flops. And I mean hard. I mean disaster area tier. No, it just doesn't do anything. Nobody buys it. It is a complete fucking disaster area. Because what's going to happen is, effectively, no one's going to give a shit anymore, and it's just going to, since everything is collapsed at that point, 5.5 is done, and we pretty much enter a, kind of that 2007, 2010, like 2011-ish era. 2011, 12. I would say 2011 and 12. Where 4.4E was it kind of hit the end point. And it was, that thing, like 4E was over and everybody could have really done it. That was going to be, there were 2 points in history where things could have done. And that was when everyone got bought up, kind of that right before 3.5, kind of like that, I'd say right after third edition, not 3.5, third edition, and right before it, kind of that era, someone could have come in. That would be like the 90s, for example. Someone could have come in the 90s and swept away the crowd. The problem is no one did. The second time was during that time, about 2000, I would say 2010 to about 2013-ish. Because it'd be 2000, when did 4E come out? When did 5E come out? 5E release. Yeah, so it was released in 2020. Yeah, so about 2012, 2013. 11 to 13, I would say. 4E was over. 4E was a disaster area, and it was bad. People could have come in and could have made the market great. The problem is, everybody didn't. Because the big games who came out of that was fucking Pathfinder. Which Pathfinder does not exist if 3.5 doesn't exist. Pathfinder can claim all they want that they're a unique and interesting game. They're really not. It's a fucking not a fucking 5e. It's a fucking D20 game, and it doesn't really do anything particularly like, oh boy, we've really like revolutionized the market at all. No. But the Pathfinder was like, Paizo never wanted to do that. That was not the design goal of Paizo. That was not like, nowhere on the on the business plan was, we're going to make this big ass game that's going to make us $1 million. We're going to make the brand new, the next hotness. No, that was never on anyone's radar for Pathfinder. Not a single human being alive at Paizo office was like, we're going to do. No, it was literally, we just want to keep the D20 license going. And that's what they did. That is exactly what Paizo and in turn Pathfinder did. And that is horrific. It's like we just don't want to do anything new. And nobody else really hopped into it. But we also saw the indie game, we also saw the birth of the story game revolution, which was a big deal. The story game revolution should have been a big moment. And it was, because we actually got some really genuinely interesting games during that time. We did. And those genuinely interesting games are what kind of justified the existence of the indie market, you could say. Oh, yeah, I'm dead here. There we go. I did pretty well there, actually. You justified the existence of, things like that. And because of it, it was like, yeah, we're making money, everything's going well. And then 5e came out and everybody just died. Every single the entire market shifted toward 5e and now they dominate like 80% of the market. I would be genuinely interested to see what the breakdown of the actual TRPG market is. But you want to know what the sad part about it is? We don't matter. Oh boy, D&D, it's a cultural phenomenon. No, it does not matter in the long run. It does not. Nobody gives a fuck. Usually the case of when you find like actual honest to God sections dedicated to it. Usually what occurs is that it's in things like board games or books. And it's not a monopoly. Yeah, it's hegemon, not monopoly. Because again, they don't want monopoly. They don't. What they want to do is they want everyone to build shit for them. It's the issue is like the fundamental issue of like 5e is that it kind of captured a certain zeitgeist and instead of people capitalizing on its weakness, people just bowed down to it and was just like, this is what we need to do now. That's why anytime you go on like Kickstarter, it's like 5e adventure path, 5e adventure path, 5e adventure path. Jesus Christ, that is like someone like that'd be like if you went to Kickstarter for video games and instead of like, here's some cool trends or whatever that we want to kind of capitalize off of, it's like, we want $30,000 to build a mod for Half-Life 2. We want $50,000 to build a fucking, hat collection for TF2. It's like, what? Like, you got all this time, you clearly can write. Why don't you write something interesting or new instead? Like, let's expand the market instead of just making it one person that's feeding into a single market. Because the thing is, here's the beautiful thing. None of these fucking games are 5e. Because you can't sell 5e. You can't sell the book. But man, I really want to play this game. I'm going to have to buy the 5e book. So people are going to buy the 5e book. And Wizards of the Coast is making more money. And it's like, these people are like, man, we're fucking, like, it's like, oh, well, here in TTRPG Twitter, we believe, like, no. There's no such thing as TTRPG Twitter. There isn't. There's no, like, TTRPG community. Because it's just a bunch of people shitting on each other and trying not to kill each other and yelling at each other over the most minute details. And the number of times I've seen, like, we should start a co-op. Nobody wants to do the co-op because there's no reason to do the co-op. Because the indie devs, because everybody wants to do their own thing. And nobody likes to deal with other people, but they want everyone to talk about it. That's why I always find it fascinating when you see some of these, like I don't participate in any of like these Saturday show us your work threads or whatever, because it's the same shit being like, well, here's my game and it's super cool. It's a retro class. Like, what would happen if people decide to use other games, converting the settings rather than having to buy a core? That's the problem. It's hard to tell because there is no incentive to do that. But like you get some games because you get things like Pinnacle, for example, and Savage Worlds. Savage Worlds actively it wants you to what the hell? Oh, 700. Oh, I have 800. Fuck me. Like Savage Worlds wants you to adapt new things. Pathfinder wants you to adapt new things. Like all these, of course, all these things do. But you end up with like Free League. That's what it is. Free League and like World of Darkness and D&D even. Like all of these companies also have like, oh well, this is a fan program. That if you participate in the fan program, well, you can release your stuff using our license. What? Wait, are you saying that we can just sell shit? And it's like, no, my God, what are you fuckers on about now? Like, no. And it's like I would like to say if there's like some like grandiose like result that's gonna make everybody happy and be like, well, this is the obvious kind of end goal of this entire thing, and everyone's gonna be fun and everyone's gonna like each other and it's gonna work. It's like, nah, it's not that. Because this kind of leads me to my second point with the 5.5e, which leads to what I would like to call the ultimate bad news bears situation. And the ultimate bad news bears situation is pretty simple. Ultimate bad news bears very simply dictates that after 5.5 comes out, it is such a resounding success. It does so well that we hilariously enter in an era pretty much where people are. It kind of confirms the hegemony. Why should we try anything new? Because there's no incentive to do that. So we're not going to. We're not going to try anything new. We're going to do exactly like we have been doing. And to me, anyway, I think the ultimate final end goal of a lot of things, and I think kind of the you can argue the end goal of the industry, unfortunately, is going to end up with company games. And we're kind of seeing that with things like Renegade Studios. We've been seeing things with that, like Green Ronin's been wanting to do that forever, keeps doing it. 5e, where like you see a lot of games like this, where the idea is that it's a company game, and that company game is going to be what they make and make nothing else. And there's going to be two kinds of, there's effectively there's going to be two sets of indie markets. Like the industry is just going to divide itself in half, and it's going to be the indie developers who like, let's make something brand new. Let's try something new. Here's a new system. And you're going to end up with indie quote unquote developers who are like, let's make a 5e version except everybody has guns. Even though or hey, here's my brand new, like fucking Savage Worlds game. It's the Savage Worlds community. It's the D&D 5e community. It's the Shadowrun, probably going to be 7th edition at this rate because 6th edition was kind of a disaster area. But it's going to be very much not really, how do I want to word this? It isn't going to be like a group of people trying to make something interesting together. It's going to be a bunch of people going to be making things for a very specific company, for a very specific reason, for very specific, things. Nothing more, nothing less. And there will be no, like, it's pretty much going to be the death of the concept of like the TRPG market. It's going to be the D&D market and the Pathfinder and this. It's going to be the Pathfinder market. It's going to be the Savage Worlds market. It's going to be these very specific sub-markets rather than a unified front, which again, indie games should be doing something interesting. There should be something unique, but the problem is there isn't. Kind of going back to what I was kind of saying, at the start of the stream, like there's these degrees of companies for indie developers when it comes to things, and I think the people who are going to be at the the A, the double A and the triple A guys, the guys who've been actually trying something, are making new stuff, they're going to fall into the same trap. They're going to be, we're not going to make anything new. We're not going to make something that's going to like excite the mind or try something different. We're going to make exactly what we've been making forever with the exact same system, with the exact same mechanics, with the exact same everything. Because why would you do anything else? There's no reason to. And that, fuck. It's it's just this. I don't know. Maybe it's annoying that and maybe I'm just annoyed because it's just like I look at these guys and I'm just like, well, why bother making anything brand new? Like, let's just convert everything to fucking 5e, or no, we're gonna make a brand new OSR game and pretend like it's a brand new thing. Like, no one's ever done this before, even though everyone fucking has. Like, fuck, it's. And I would like to say like, oh wow, maybe I'm just being like a little dramatic, and yeah, of course I'm being a little. But I do genuinely think that things are gonna get a lot worse before they get any better, and that's have some faith. Fuck no, because the thing is, how do I want to word this? There's no incentive to do that. I'm a hardcore on market theories. I'm very much a person who, how do I want to word this? I am the kind of person who looks at things and looks at trends and I'm like, okay, this is going poorly. And the trend is, if things go certain ways, no one's going to want to do anything. There's no reason to innovate. Because, fuck, why would you? There's literally no reason to. It's so easy to get into the sphere that you should, but the problem is nobody wants to make anything new. And the number of people who like think they're making something new, but it's like, no, you're not. You're making a fucking OSR game, but you've called it, it's like, oh, it's the Blabberblue system and it's brand new. Being like, nope, this is just OSR. You just called it something different. And maybe I am negative. Like maybe I am kind of a little bit of a doomer here, and I admit that. Like I'll always, kind of admit my doomer tendencies, but it's like, Jesus fucking Christ almighty. And I'm not even going to say, like, it's the social justice warrior ruining my hobby. Nah, it's just people. It's just people ruining hobby. Because, again, there's no incentive for either side. Nobody is ever encouraged to make anything new. Because why would you? There's no reason to do it because there's no money in the industry. And because there's no money in the industry, you have no desire to do anything different with it. And that drives me nuts. That's absolutely infuriating. Because I like to look for things that are different, that maybe do something different. And Jesus, it's hard. That, and I look around at like people being like, oh boy, here's like this brand new, like here, like, hey, has anyone actually even heard of this game before? Like, no, no one has. Would they? Game that probably sold 12 fucking copies. And nobody probably bought it elsewhere, either way. And it's like, Jesus, like, I get disheartened sometimes. I'll be honest. Like, it's rough some days. It's just like I want. I keep looking at this. It's like I want to do something. I like promoting people. I like seeing new things, and it's like, fuck me, man. Like I don't want to deal with anybody on Twitter. Jesus, have you seen Twitter TTRPG Twitter? They're the most insufferable fucking cunts. Like not just everybody on it. Just kind of everyone is an asshole. Like they are the most just. Everyone has like this pretentious, like, oh well, look at me and my innovative game, or like, oh wow, I sure do love D&D. It's like, wow, that's great. Even down to the fact that like you're not supposed to just tag things TTRPG or whatever. No, you have to tag them as hashtag D&D and everything like that. Because if you don't, you're not optimizing correctly. And it's like, oh my god, just give me. Like, you guys are the most pretentious fucking people. And they're like, well, you should just be nicer. It's like, no. Hell, even down to that thing, that Stonewall thing the other night. Like, genuinely, I have no I have no ties to the Stonewall. I'm not gay or anything. I didn't know anything about it. I literally just had to Google it, and it was funny because again, I genuinely asked, being like, "What's your opinion on this?" Because it wasn't an opinion. It was like, well, they're not doing it right, and they're all these white guys doing it. It's all these white Italian teams. I'm like, that's what does that have to do with fucking anything? I care about the game, care about what's actually being produced and like who's producing it. But why would we do that? You know, it's performative, I think is the best way of wording. Everything is just performative. I don't care about that because of the American thing. Yeah, and it's yeah, and again, maybe that's a reason why I've grown. Maybe again, maybe it's honestly just the U.S. Honestly, maybe it's just the U.S. that gets into this vitriolic shit over nothing, or it's just like me no like me sad me. Let's write a fucking RP like 2-page RPG that charges $15 about depression or whatever. It's like I don't fucking care. Give me like something interesting to bite onto. Give me a game rather than your fucking wanking. There's so many of these. I hate these guys. They take 2 hits with a whip. I like Arc, but the problem is Flame Sword is really. Flame Sword hits and misses. And I don't have any. I'm gonna die. I gotta go for Hollow Heart. Oh my god, there's so many dudes. I have no clear. I'm gonna die here. I'm fucked. I have no clear. Yeah. They do. We do. As an American, I can attest to this. It's. I think it's like I don't think it's like it's an American thing. I think it's just a people who are perpetually on fucking Twitter thing. They're the most frustrating people, and I don't think it's like again I don't give a shit who you are. Um, Evolutions in VS yet? No, I have not. I'm not. Again, I don't get usually that far because it's just like I could pick this up. Like my big thing with Vampire Survivors is mass clear. I always have a bad tendency of not having a big clear. Yeah, it's because again, it's this odd cycle. Is like I want to escape the crab bucket. To escape the crab bucket, you must network. But to network, you must enter the crab bucket. And it's like this massive piece of shit. And like, honestly, I am amazingly thankful. I am wholeheartedly thankful of the pure number of people I actually even have in my server and beyond, and people who follow me here, people who look at who subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am phenomenally okay with it because I have a diverse set of fuck ups, and I do enjoy that. And yeah, everybody, and I try to always facilitate conversations and not just the circular thing about it. It's just being like thing bad. It's a class of weirdo. Yeah, pretty much. It's and I think a lot of people in like in the indie market is like 5e bad. Like 5e is not a bad game. If 5e was a bad game, no one would play it. Uh the thing is, the problem with it is that it's just hegemonic. And like you get some problems with like communities form and then people want to kind of have these purity tests, or it's like, well, you're not working on this particular thing, so you're not doing it right. And like I try to like my one goal, like my one ultimate goal is to make content that is interesting, is to make games that try to at least raise an eyebrow, kind of get your noggin jogging. Do I do that all the time? Absolutely not. Sometimes I make stupid shit that just doesn't work, or just bleh. And yeah, it's 5e is fine because it's like if you actually play 5e, it's fine. Like I enjoyed my time playing 5e with my friends when we played on the table a lot. Like yeah, I had fun because I was playing with my friends because it's a good social game. That's all. Like, but overall, I try to make something that I haven't seen before, or I want to, I want to show you guys something that I'm like, you've probably never seen this before. Or hey, here's this stupid fucking idea that nobody's ever bothered to do. I want to try it. I try to do that, and I try to use different systems. I try to use different ideas, and that's going to be like a big thing I want to do for the next batch of games. Is that I really want to try something completely different. I want to go real heavy on the thematics, just because I feel like it. Just because I want to try something new. And it's, oh, God, that was awful. Truly awful. A lot of money. There are federal agents outside my house, and they have robbed me of all my fucking money. Which money? 2,800. We'll do money bill. We want some more damage. Let's get some more max health. And actually, yeah, the entire hobby is about being social, and people think that sometimes it's not. I always find that odd. Where it's like it's about telling a story or whatever. It's like that. It's it's tiring. I really is. I'll be perfectly frank with a lot of you guys. Like it's tiring some days when I'm going through here. I'm gonna try Gennaro again. I think I can do it. Gennaro I did pretty well with. I can do this. There's been some days that I'm like, man, fuck, this is intolerably awful. I hate everyone I have to deal with in this fucking hobby or these fucking groups just because it's like I'm not getting anywhere, nothing's really going on, and I feel like I'm kind of stuck in a circle. Of course, it's annoying, but then it's just like, well, yeah, but I'm at least doing something that I want to do, or I'm like doing something that's interesting. And I think things like the Gem Hammer and Sons thing. That's kind of the impetus of this entire stream. The thing that kind of made me say like, you know what, maybe it's time to let's have a small talk. Just because it's the idea of people collectively decided that they were just going to dogpile on these guys for doing nothing necessarily wrong, but this because they thought there was like this grandiose community behind it, and people even shitting on Chaosium. It's like, well, you shouldn't be doing things like NFTs, being like, if people are going to buy it, fucking of course they're going to do it. Yeah, it's like you can't police a company trying to make money. That's their one goal. There's no community. There's no like greater TTRPG grouping or even indie grouping. Everyone's very different. Everyone kind of does their own thing, but we want to believe there is. And it's like, guys. I could go for Santa Water. Be a goddamn goblin. I know garlic is not the right option, but garlic is very spap sometimes. Yeah, it's grifting. It's grifting. It's how do you get the cheapest product out there as fast as physically possible? And everybody wants to do it. That's the thing. Every single person wants to get the most bang for their buck. And like I've told people, like I always joke being like, I'll write anything for money, and I will. But the reason is not because like, oh boy, haha, funny, haha, meme man. It's genuinely like because I'll write anything for money because I need something. It's like I don't make any, like I do not make any money really off of like my games at all. People do not buy them, and it's very frustrating when you put it like, yeah, I put a lot of time and effort into writing something, and then it's like, well, oops, these guys who made like this like 5 minute long, 30 like 2-page LARP game selling it for $20. I'm like, who the is this okay? Are we supposed to like this? Or like when someone writes a Lumen game and charges $15 for it? That's my favorite. Being like, you fuckers, like you dumb motherfuckers, you didn't write a single new thing in this. You didn't write a single like new or exciting mechanic in this, most likely. You probably are doing the exact same shit as everybody else. But we all need to be unique. And it's annoying. It's frustrating. It really is. Yeah, shovelware does work. Garlic does work early game, my friend. Garlic has saved my life more than once. That's actually a good rune tracer. Actually very lucky. Now mind you, I'm doing this on a keyboard too, so bear that in mind. Why I'm not doing like, why aren't you doing some sick tricks with the knives? Being like, I'm on a keyboard. I would like to believe that there's this like golden moment in the future that everyone's going to be able to come together and realize like maybe we should make interesting and new games and show the world that we are creative. But it's like not really. Like it's like my predictions for what's going to happen with 5e, 5.5e at least. If I'm not I'm not looking forward to it, because if I'm right, it's bad. It's bad news bears. Like, it's really bad. But if I'm wrong, my prediction is false, pretty much. If my prediction that people are going to kind of gradually shift to more of a company focus, if 5e fucking does great, it's, I don't know. You have an industry that's very easy to get into, but nobody ever wants to do anything interesting in it. And the people who do don't get rewarded for doing anything interesting. So we end up in a very small amount of money being put in and put out. And the people who do make money are the ones always making money. Because that's funny, right? So when someone so anytime you see someone making a proud communist game and charge $15 for it, understand that those people are the same people who fucking hate you. Whatever. Like it's the most frustrating shit in the world when you see it. And it's like, what's the... But mind you, I'm also kind of the firm belief that like, because there are groups of people being like, oh well, you shouldn't just charge for games at all. Like games should be free. I don't believe I don't think that's right either, mind you. I mean, that's just like, well, that's how you end up with real shit. Like this real garbage where people just don't make anything interesting. Like if you make true like if you make it so like nobody buys anything and you truly advocate for that, there's still going to be companies charging, and those companies are going to be the ones already making money. Indie devs should be able to charge money and actually get money for it, and you should want to buy them. But the thing is, there should be a reward for making interesting things. Making new games or making an interesting idea. The problem is there isn't one. There is no incentive to do that. And we are one of the very few industries in the entire world that can claim that doing the bare minimum is the best course of action outside of like a fucking internet service provider. But even then, like, it's like, I would like to believe that, we're gonna, everything's gonna work out, and we're all, every indie dev is gonna get exactly what they want, and everyone's gonna live in the land of milk and honey. But I know people. People don't want that. And I remember once it was a prominent indie developer, even though he only makes like Pathfinder shit, and he made a single. His one game was a fucking card builder RPG that I was like, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've seen. Um, he he said like, oh, Wizards of the Coast loves competition. No, they don't, because Wizards of the Coast doesn't have any competition. Because D&D to them is a bonus, pretty much. The magic is what makes the money. Magic is what pays the bills, and D&D doesn't need to apply any effort, or these companies don't need to apply any effort because they know people are going to buy whatever comes out, and you have entire groups. There are entire companies out there dedicated to making 5e content. I find that insane. I find that absolutely bonkers. And there are entire companies who or entire indie developer groups who are like, well, we've made proud PBTA games. I'm just like, wow, you've done literally the bare minimum amount of work. Like that's why with like the Magpie stuff and like the Avatar games, I'm like, that's hilarious. I have zero faith in Avatar being anything other than like, let's just make some money. Because it's aimed at the exact people. God, that's a lot of chicken for. It's aimed at the exact people who want to buy it and put it on the fucking shelf. And I don't think you're meant to play the Avatar game. I don't think you're meant to play a lot of these indie games, to be honest. I think they're there to make you feel good about yourself. Kind of like what I said with Thirsty Sword Lesbians way back in the day. Being like, these games are really much designed to make you feel good about yourself, or kind of in the case for a lot of OSR stuff, it's bring back a certain nostalgia that is, intoxicating to a lot of people. It is. It's, nostalgia is intoxicating. And people want to make the highest amount of money possible, and that's what they're going to keep doing. There's zero incentive to not do that. And when the incentive says we want to make, I want to get answers because that's going to Tigers better. And because there's no incentive to change anything, no one is going to change anything. In an ideal world, in a beautifully ideal world, the market would be expanded and there would be like, I would say 3-4 big games. That would probably be the best. 3-4 big games, or like games that kind of I wouldn't say like dominate the market, but kind of like these are the ones that kind of make the bank. And you can kind of argue that there's 3. Actually, I would say there's 2 games really that kind of make the market the way it is, and that would be things like Call of Cthulhu and 5e. I say Call of Cthulhu because it has a much wider and very big appeal to a lot of people. And people really like that game, and it's probably one of the better ones internationally. Yeah, like it's one of those things, like internationally speaking, like 5e gets a little bit weird. Let's go Clover. Because there's a lot of things that 5e just isn't translated into. And people get like really weird. Like, you haven't played Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition? Be like, no, it's not in my fucking language. And but we also have a very bad problem of saying like, well, there is just nothing else other than like very specific. Like you will only really get the the 5e experience or whatever. It's like we're not getting anything much different than that. That sucks. God, I love garlic. Garlic saves lives, kids. Explodey ghosts. It's a boss. Tokyo drifting. Yeah, like But yeah, even then, like COC, like Call of Cthulhu, like that's a big one. You can argue like Pathfinder's pretty big, but Pathfinder doesn't exist without D&D. And because Pathfinder doesn't exist without D&D, they have like a very similar market, which is there should be more. It's one of those things like there should be a lot more, you know, things with it. There should be people should feel like there are options to play, but there really isn't. There's a very little amount of options in the industry. And normally, if this was the case, in any other system, in any other world, the proper solution is, well then, you know, the mainstream games won't make it, so the indie market will, and then they kind of capitalize off of it, and you have indie success stories. But then you have shit like Morkborg. Stone Mast. Just give me more fucking money. Garlic, big garlic. Max Garlic. It's... Oh, lion head masks are awful. I've definitely passed this prime, only so. People either really like or really hate, you know, Pathfinder. The people who like really... Oh, cool, I got the Soul Eater. People who like really like Pathfinder are the guys who have always been liking Pathfinder. And there's still Pathfinder like 1E products, like Pathfinder 1E and not 2E, 1E. Which I find actually very fascinating. Again, it's like, what other industry in our beautiful disaster areas like, yes, this is the... Now this is what happens. Like, no, that's ridiculous. Like, no other world is like this. No other company, no other thing in this disaster area. I wants to run Morkborg. Morkborg is popular. Morkborg is an art book. And yeah, the thing is, Morkborg is kind of indicative of kind of my thesis almost of this entire disaster area. More like, it's kind of that idea of like, Morkborg doesn't do a single thing interesting. The entire reason Morkborg is even remotely here is because it's very pretty. It appeals to a very certain demographic. And because it is doing everything it's supposed to be doing, it's pretty much made bank. Like, Morkborg has made a shit ton of money for Free League, not by virtue of like, oh, Morkborg's a good game. No, it's just because people keep buying Morkborg because they keep seeing, because their indie friends keep making a Morkborg source book, even though the game is just a D20 game. It's literally all the game is. It's just D20. Ooh, evolved knives requires a bracer. Ooh. I have knives. Knife. It's knife to meet you. But yes, it's see, now I know how to pick up bracer on him. It's again, Morkborg is a symbol of a problem, of something bigger. Because the thing is, again, Morkborg does not exist without its community of people around Morkborg who make everything for Morkborg, and that's all they do, and they've been rewarded for it. And that's the problem. We are rewarding lazy shit. We're rewarding people without design rigor, as Tom would put it. And the thing is, even people like Tom do not have design rigor because they're not trying new things. They're instead relying on old things or relying on their, you know, kind of the name, you could say. Hey kids, you like Final Fantasy, you'll love Icon. Hey kids, you love whatever the fuck this is, you'll love it. Hell, I remember that like the one big pitch for Lancer always was like a mech game for people who don't like. So I'm like, that's not the pitch really you should make for any kind of game. Being like it's for people who really just don't like playing games. It's like that's a fucking disaster area and a half. For Tractor. Bruh. Sorry, I've invented the gun real fast. Let me just carve a path through here. See, this is the vampire. This is the vampire slayer. Oh god, there's so many. Can I carve through here? Yes, I can. They're all weak. Weak. Tractor. I don't know anyone who played Lance or that. I think it's like it's the thing with Lancer is that it didn't like I have a video on Lancer and the entire video does literally just boil down to it just doesn't do anything interesting for me. And I'm not gonna blame anyone who likes Lancer. I'm not gonna be like you're a bad person because you like Lancer. No, that's silly. I'm gonna say it's kind of like the well, what do you like about it? There's probably another game that's gonna do it well. That's why I actually have next month we actually the mech case is actually ready to go. I have a few mech games lined up. Uh, got a couple interesting ones. I'm excited for it though. Oh, sorry, I'm too busy fucking, and it's great. Evolved garlic and evolved knives is the best thing in the game, and I'm the greatest thing that ever sings sliced bread. At least a cheat sheet of Trumps had to make it playable, please. Notepad fucking hard stream, yes. Uh, here's the thing with like Chrome Strike. Chrome Strike, he keeps saying like I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna fix it. I need to just sit down and if it comes down to it, if I don't see anything within like 2 months, I might just rewrite Chrome Strike. I'm threatening Duke with that. So if anyone knows Duke, know that Notepad Anon is ready to fuck your day up and write his own version of Chrome Strike simply because I can. Like the BattleTech, like there is actually fun fact, there isn't really like a BattleTech RPG. There is, but isn't at the same time. Because the BattleTech RPG is by technicality playing the war game. Like, I've actually had people like request that, like, can you make a BattleTech game, please? And it's like, what do you mean? Like, there's a BattleTech game there, and it's like, I've read through it. It's a weird fucking thing. Like, it's a weird game. And sorry, I'm coming. Notepad literally fucking dies on stream. Min-maxing his fucking life. Yeah, it's exactly. You can clip my stream. You clip those. Yeah. So it's BattleTech is pretty. It's the thing is with BattleTech, it's simple. But the problem is, you have to focus in on certain things. If you just look at the entire mess of BattleTech, you look at it, you're like, me likey, and then you have a fucking stroke. Like if you look too deep into it, there's too much of it. But if you kind of like pare it down to like, I just want to deal with the clans, cool, do clan stuff. People who do like clan stuff are cool, like fine, cool. Or hey, we want to do. Mind you, I only have 3 weapons because I'm fucking insane, I guess, and I hate living. Or the people who, or do you focus on the inner sphere stuff? If you focus on like very specific things inside of BattleTech, it's not too bad. It's like it's one of the it's like many. I got a triple. Ah! Ooh. That's a triple, baby. 1, 2, 3. Double clover. Oof. Ooh. There we go. All right. Let's get a cross, baby. Feeling good. See, I never get this kind of good luck. Got a 7 chest. You fucker. You motherfucker. Yeah. Just coom. But, like, Battletech isn't too bad. But I think we're going to end up with, like, kind of going back to my, like, the original point of this stream, rather than me just cooming over Vampire Survivors, which is a great game, and you should all play, by the way. Like, we're going to end up with, like, this is the Battletech game, or this is this. I don't think people are really going to deviate from franchises, which I find kind of weird. Like, that's kind of like it's a bummer when you think about it. Like, yes, hey kids, you're going to end up playing the same shit as always. I'm like, oh, that's... Okay, we've officially hit the scary part where I can't just walk into all the enemies and instantly have them die. I have to now pretend to know what I'm doing. That's the secret. That's the secret, champ. I don't know what I'm doing. But I'd like to see more. There's a lot of mech games. I keep debating on going over Battletech, but I genuinely don't know where to put Battletech. Yeah, this is good. This is getting, my demise is here. But you always pretend that you know what you're doing. That's the secret, Draco. I never know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm winging it like 95% of the time. I've managed to convince dozens of people that I am actually, like, knowledgeable in whatever the fuck I'm saying. Like, it's guesstimation. Guys, I hate to break it to you, but I'm a fucking idiot. Like, I'm at this point, I've effectively positioned myself as the Joe Rogan of tabletop games. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Like, I'm just a fucking idiot when it comes to most things. I just try my best. I just have a weird knowledge of things and a complete drive of autism to push me through. I just want crosses. Give me cross, baby. That's all Notepad wants. This Notepad wants is goddamn cross. I thought about getting it earlier, but I'm like, no, I'm going to upgrade the fucking clover. Exciting gameplay with Notepad Anon. Just die, boss, die. I am not blocked. Well, you aren't can't. Yeah, thing is, I'm not even like blocked by most people. I'm blocked by certain people. I just make comments and I just want to know answers. That's all I want. All I ever wanted was the truth, everyone. That's always remember that. I don't actually deal with Twitter people very much. Like here's the thing. I genuinely don't like Twitter. But it's, you know, as I've told Ajax more than a few times. Oh God, do I go for Pashonate? Santa Water. Who got pronouns in their bio? Who's not? But who's not blocked by them? Again, like, that's an entire different, you know, section of, like, is that like the pinnacle of what true fucking let's go bird. Let's miss everything with the bird. It's like, is that like just the true pinnacle of what it means to be like of communication in the modern era? Where it's like, oh boy, you know, I don't like what you say, therefore I'm going to block all communication with you. God, that's dystopian. Fuck me, Big Brother would love this shit. I can make the bird work. The bird's working. Yeah, it's messy, and it's like it doesn't help that like it does not actually help that like a vast. Oh, there we go. Got cross. It does not help that like a majority of like indie TTRPG like it's hard to actually network because I always get told like that's what you're supposed to do. Like that's what you're supposed to do to get anywhere. You gotta network. Why aren't you network? Your network is your network. Hello, Green Giant Satan, man. Like you're like you gotta learn to network, and I'm like, what do you fucking mean? Like what is this like? What does networking actually imply? Like most people I deal with are like pretty decent, but I have like you fuckers are also and that. Ow, ow. Fuck, die, everything die. You know what'd be great right now? A bomb. Bomb would be lovely. Like something underpursuing anyone that is a slander of social network. Like it's it's bizarre. I've always find social networks in that regard kind of bizarre, where it's just kind of like this idea where it's like I don't like you, therefore I'm just going to like ignore every single thing that you do and like pretend you don't exist. That's completely bizarre. Like, but why? Like we're all adults here. You can just answer the question. Like the thing last night with Stonewall. I was genuinely curious of like why they had an issue with it. Being like, I'm just disassociating from TTRPG right now. Like, why? For what reason? Is there like something egregious? Did the company do something? Are they like noted for this? Like, come on, answer. And like nobody ever wants to do that, but that would imply again like more deeper thinking, and deeper thinking is not conductive on TTRPG fucking Twitter or Twitter in general, because Twitter is a goblin hole. Twitter is good for three things. Twitter is good for porn. It is good for let's cross a little. Oh, sex. It's good for porn. It's good for funnies, and it's occasionally good for making sure that my personal favorite meme man isn't dead yet. Like it's okay for like updates and shit. I don't know why people like the people who live on Twitter are scary, and I don't think they should be like hosted around people. Like it's like are you a real human being? I have no idea what the fuck's going on anymore. Like there's just shit flying everywhere. It's great. Give down in the ring of fire. Girl, down the ring of fire, the ring of fire. Die. Die. Yeah, Twitter is a small amount of people, but the thing is, and this is you can attribute this to just about any kind of community. The loud ones will always be heard in every possible sense of the situation. The loud ones will always be heard. That's why I kind of felt bad for the Gemhammer guys, Gemhammer and Sons. I actually kind of felt bad for those guys because they effectively because they effectively got shat on for literally just trying to make it in the industry by a bunch of Twitter people who were like, "You're not doing things better the way you're supposed to." Like, what do you fucking mean they're not doing it the way that they're supposed to? Like, they're just literally saying, like, the business is like, we want to offer it to people, but we can't afford it because money. Also, I hate the fucking ghosts. The explodey ghosts are the worst, but I have chicken here. Lore chicken. I thought you said this thing has good regen. Oh, am I actually gonna win this? Oh, wow, that's bad. Running, boss, running, boss. Die, boss. Oh, please. Oh my god damn it! I thought it was right there. It was right there. I was doing so well. I looked away for 1 second. That was a good run though. 5 achievements though. 5 Chivos. Yeah, it's a shit show. And that's at the end of the day, that's really what it is. Like, it is legitimately just a bunch of people shitting on each other repeatedly for no reason. Let's see. Power up. Let's see, do I just buy a bunch of characters? I think I buy a bunch. Let's buy Porta. Let's buy, she starts with Lightning Ring. That's agony. Let's buy Poe. Let's power. Let's power up with area effect because areas. We'll do you know what? No. Bad. I've been streaming for too long. But old man nards. But yeah, no, it's that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Kind of again, it's musing about the indie scene, and generally speaking, to kind of summarize the entire mess is the indie scene for TTRPGs is a very small market instead of people trying to innovate, instead of people trying to kind of use that indie value to do things, they are instead deciding to do the bare minimum and get rewarded for it. That's the ultimate problem. There is more reward for doing less than there should be. Exactly. It's a small market, it's a small niche of a small niche. And the number, like, the one guy who I remember, the guy who wrote it was a card game RPG. It was like Pokemon based. He's like, you're supposed to build like a card system. It was really silly. And he wrote a bunch of Pathfinder stuff. Smunchy Games, that's the guy who does it. I remember he said, like, oh, a bunch of video game developers want to come into the tabletop market because we're a rapidly expanding market. I'm like, you dumb motherfucker. The people who want to get into this market are the people who want to use their name to sell you shit. They don't want to expand the market. They want to exploit the market. It's great. Let's see, indie game, Kickstarter one. I am actually, here's the thing. I can announce it here because I got 7 people watching. I'm actually seriously debating on launching a Kickstarter right near the end of the month, last week of February, I'm thinking. And it will literally be about $10. That's it, $10. And all it's going to be is pay me money and I will do exactly what I said I was going to do anyway. You're going to get a set of games. It's going to be in a little thing. It's going to be completely digital because I don't want to do any of the printing stuff. It's hard. And this is effectively what you're going to be getting. The more you pay, the better the art, the better the editing, the better the stuff. Cross-media franchise video game project Will's Path. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like he got lucky because, like, apparently the way he told me, he was just like, oh well, I got taken under his wing, and then I was like, you're not an indie fucking dev anymore. No. You write fucking Pathfinder shit, and you make a shit ton of money writing Pathfinder shit. Like, but yeah, like, I was literally going to do, like, here's this Kickstarter. We're going to write these games. You're going to get 3 games. I'm going to tell you exactly what they are. What's the amount of money for a one-on-one Crisis Heroine game? See, the thing is, someone would actually have to pay me money first to fix Crisis Heroine. There you go. Crowdsource that money. If you can crowdsource, let's say, how about this? Big goal, everybody. Big goal. Tell all your friends. In the next month, I will make a note about this. Let's see. It is... Okay, next month. By next month, if I can make $100 on all platforms, $100, I will fix Crisis Heroine live on stream. Just for you all. I will go into that game. It will be a fixed project. I will do the entire goddamn thing. That's it. Whether you're buying games or you're just donating, $100. I get that. Crisis Heroine's getting fixed. I'll do it. I'll do the entire thing. Because I think I know how to fix Crisis Heroine. That's the beautiful thing. Because the problem with Crisis Heroine really does boil down to the math, I believe. And how the math is kind of fucky-wucky. Because it is really deadly, forcing you to participate in these crisis acts that don't pay out much. So you end up in a... And no, I'm not doing that. I'm fixing the math. That's all you're getting. You're getting the math fixed. You fucking freaks. But yeah, no, I do it just simply because I am a spiteful creature with no sense of right or wrong. But yes, I $100 across all platforms. I will fix Crisis Heroine live on stream. But ultimately speaking, as kind of to wrap up everything, it's a small market, a small. Commissions his book art from Ryu has a circle. Which here's the thing. I would kill for the circle format in the States. I really would. Because all that really does dictate is it would be me, a few other people, we work together, we release something, we end it. We all share everything, and it's over. The problem is, there's no really good way of doing that. Because that's not really a thing in the US at all. And it's hard. It's like, it's not like I can just like walk up to my friend being like, hello friend, would you like to join me on my mission to be a TTRPG creator? Because everyone is also not fucking stupid. It's a Doujin circle. Because that's ultimately like all of what Ryu's games are. They're Doujins. Term for free people. But yeah, no, that's Notepad's opinions on people. It's circles within circles, yeah, pretty much. I would like to have a group of people. My ideal setup. My ideal freelancers. That's what you're thinking of. This, like, how do I want to word this? The circle format in Japan, how they traditionally work, is you have a group of a dozen people. Or you might have 3-4 people who work together on a project, and they're kind of like a company, but also not a company. You release them together, you do everything. Ryu has his people. They rely on Ryu to write the rules, they do the art, they do the layout, everyone's happy. Everyone gets something out of it. That's not really a thing here. And because nobody really has a good idea of what they would want. And there's various reasons. Like, I don't want, again, my ideal beautiful world. I would like to have an artist. I would like to have an editor who is also a mixture of an ideas guy. I'd like to have those two and myself just endlessly pump out games. make bank. It'd be great. That'd be my ideal setup. Simply because with that kind of setup, that kind of team, I'd be able to produce what I want. They'd be able to make what they want, and we're always able to keep pumping out stuff. Because that's what I enjoy. And I would spend longer on individual games if I'm like, well, if there was more of a, how do I word this? If there was more of like an incentive for me to like linger a lot on longer games, I would, but there isn't really. I'm like, okay, I'm done now. So I'm gonna wrap it up there for today. Thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad Anon. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I will most likely upload this video to the YouTube. It will probably be labeled weird, but I will upload it. I don't know if it's going to be this week or next week. Who knows? Fuck it. Generally speaking, tomorrow we're going to be streaming as well. That's going to be maybe the final episode of the of a saga, Blood, Iron, and Soil. They found the emotes, everybody. They found the emotes. Egoist Notepad. That's cursed. That's real cursed. That's real. That's real awful. It's real bad. Like, but exactly, like, exactly. I put up those emotes today. I was just like, so have fun with them. Do what you wish. But yeah, I'll wrap it up there today. Godspeed. Good luck. If you need me, you know where to reach me. I will see you all tomorrow, which we'll do with more Viking stuff. And more Viking stuff means more fun stuff. And that means I also get to die a little on the inside because the goal is to try to wrap everything up. So it might be a Notepad Must Die. Most likely it'll be a Notepad Must Die. So, thank you all. And I am, as they say, away. Yeah, yeah.